All right, so we're in Upwork and we need to research a competition. So up in the upper right-hand side here is the search bar area. So instead of searching for jobs like we normally do, we're going to go ahead and search for talent. So number 2 on that list, and we're just going to put in, and again, I'm fixating on WordPress, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in WordPress developer. Now, this is important, and I don't want to gloss over it. You see this list of suggestions right here? This is based on the most popular terms that start with the word Word in this case. So WordPress, WordPress developer, WordPress designer, WordPress Elementor, WordPress website design. These are all really important because this is what clients tend to use when they are looking for freelancers like you. So just kind of pay attention in there because you're going to want to think about maybe I should be including those words in my title. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put the word WordPress developer in, and let's go take a look at what we've got. Okay. We got a lot of WordPress developers. By the way, it's one of the more competitive categories out there. So let's go ahead and do a couple of little things. So the first thing is we're going to put in the client location, or excuse me, the talent location. Because a lot of you sell to people who are in companies in the United States, I'm just going to use that by default. Okay. So now what's happened is we have developers who have been verified to live in the United States. So that's a good starting point. And we can start to see the graph here and how that changed from before. Notice that this hourly rate graph is now a little bit more diversified, meaning that some developers are charging over $100 an hour, where about most of them are charging around $50 an hour. That's going to be a good starting point because ideally, and there's a whole pricing thing that we'll get into, but you don't want to be the cheapest and you may not want to be the most expensive, though there are reasons that you do, but it's a good place to start is just being right in the middle. Now, realize that hourly rates will fluctuate based on the type of work that you do. So just because it says I charge $50 an hour doesn't necessarily mean you charge $50 an hour for what that client needs done. And we'll talk about that in later modules. So that's something that I'm looking for as I'm going through this is just to make sure that in the United States, here's how people are positioning themselves. I'll also probably pick freelancer, not freelancer and agency. Okay. So another thing for any of you SEO types out there, I come from an SEO background. Don't try to hack the algorithm. The top entries on here are based on a combination of factors, including boosting profiles, including keywords that may or may not appear, including whatever thing that they think is there. There's not a real clear hack other than making sure your title has the word things like WordPress or developer in there. But the order by which they're displayed is based on a whole bunch of non-SEO-y factors. Okay. With all that said, let's go through and take a look at how we are looking at our competition. Okay. So a couple of things that, strike me right off the bat. You really do need a good headshot, and we're going to talk about that later. But this obviously, the Sidra, I don't see her face. I don't. In fact, the majority of her picture is not her face. It's what she's wearing and her background. So you always want to have a nice big picture of your smiling face because that's one of the visuals that stand out. And I think it's really, really important in there. As we're going through this, we're going to be looking at how our competition basically describes themselves. And again, what we're looking for is are we unique? How are we different? Now, I look at this one and I'm like, okay, fun emoji use, got it. But are you a full stack WordPress person, CMS developer? If I really want someone who knows WordPress, would I hire this person? Well, it looks like she does a little bit of everything. She's not really a WordPress person. She's WordPress plus a whole bunch of other stuff like Wix and Shopify, etc. You see this one, expert WordPress developer, and everybody uses the word expert. I can go on with that, but I think, there's better ways of saying you're an expert without saying you're an expert, and we'll talk about that later modules. What I do like is plugin and theme developer. Okay, if I'm looking for someone to build a theme or a plugin for WordPress, that makes sense. But then he says full stack dev. Well, are you a full stack dev? Are you a WordPress developer? I know they kind of go in tandem. And, again, I like the fact that he's, trying to use bold to make his stuff stand out. But at the end of the day, it seems a little bit generic and not specific. Let's keep going. Let's go down here. UI, UX designer and WordPress. Okay, well, it's not very specific. Are you a designer or are you doing WordPress? And are you doing Shopify? So again, just really not liking that one. And then let's take a look at this one. Not bad. I can kind of see his head in there. That's kind of good. It stands out. That green, notice how those greens stand out? You know what color stands out better? White. Just saying, white with a little circle. We'll talk about it. So let's see, WordPress developer, web design, WordPress website, WordPress. So are you struggling with a WordPress website that just doesn't perform as expected? I like that. And I'll tell you why. Because it's appealing to the fact that I may not have a site that I really like. So I kind of like his approach in there. And it shows that he's $30 an hour. So I think he's a little underpriced under what he is, but overall not bad. 100% job success score. He's only earned $100. But the other thing that I really also like to point out is that these two lines are kind of the most important when I'm trying to think about even clicking on him. So as I'm looking at this, as I'm looking at my competition, I'm going to be saying, do I want to be like these people that have this stuff in here, or do I want to be a little bit different? Hi, I'm Juan Devis. Well, I got it, Juan. I saw your name. You don't need to tell me that. And I'm super happy to have you here. Well, I'm glad you're happy to have me here. What are you going to do for me? Well, obviously, he's not talking about what he can do for me. He's just telling me how great he is. So when I'm looking at this, I'm really trying to think of, as a WordPress developer, how would I stand out? Now, one way to stand out is, of course, to come up and really understand, what makes you unique and different. What do you really like doing? So one of the things that I don't see on here is people who are like, I am focused exclusively on WooCommerce. Even though Deal over here seems to focus on it, he focuses on a lot of things, it seems like. So being very, very specific, I am a WordPress developer that specializes in WooCommerce. That's going to appeal to people who need someone who need a WooCommerce site. If you do SEO or performance. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm like, okay, how does my competition talk about themselves? And let's go a couple of pages in. Let's see what these people are doing. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's move the pricing bar up. I want to see people who charge, at the high end. Okay, let's see what the high-end people are doing, because they're hopefully getting lots of work. Here's Zach. Zach, not a bad picture. He's got some good trust marks in there. WordPress developer and Elementor Pro expert. Well, now I don't have a problem with expert at the end of it because he's not leading with it. He's basically saying, I know WordPress developer and Elementor Pro. Not bad. Don't really like that because it looks kind of like my competition. In fact, I start to see my competition all talking about how great they are, how great they are. Maybe I want to be different and not talk so much about me, but talk about what I can do for you. So this is kind of what I'm looking at. And I'm also trying to pick out patterns in here. So obviously spelling WordPress properly with a capital P. Are you a WordPress developer? Are you a WordPress designer? Are you a WordPress builder? That's kind of a new popular term in the WordPress ecosystem. And what is making you unique? Now, this guy, top-rated WordPress and HubSpot CMS. I hate this, but I love top-rated. In other words, he's not saying he's an expert. He's just declaring the fact that he's actually top-rated, which is a great thing to put in there because that's what kind of makes him unique. He's a top-rated WordPress developer. In fact, I would probably just say that it was him. This HubSpot CMS, I don't know. I mean, if I want a HubSpot CMS guy, I'm probably going to hire the one that says HubSpot CMS. AI engineer and WordPress specialist, AI-powered solutions Elementor. I get why Dan is doing that, actually, because AI is pretty popular, but maybe a better way of putting that, if I was, I had some AI skills, is I may say something like, I can take AI and embed it into your WordPress site. Maybe that's what very specific, I am a WordPress professional or WordPress developer specializing in an AI integration. That would be a good title for people that want to put AI into their WordPress experience. And it's very specific. So you're starting to, I think, see the general pattern that we're looking for on these things. Elementor, WooCommerce, WordPress developer. Again, I probably would look at him even at $95 an hour because I'm looking for Elementor experience. So these are things that I'm looking at. Now, what else am I looking for? Okay, notice how the skills here, this is really, really important too. You want to make sure that your skills that are you're putting in, and you get about 15 to put in, you want them in order of importance, okay? So I don't want you to waste space with things like HTML5 unless you are an HTML5 developer. If you are a WordPress person, you better be putting all things related to WordPress, with WordPress being the very first thing, and then just like this, WordPress plugin, WordPress developer, WooCommerce. I'd take Shopify out of there, PHP maybe. I mean, I'm sure there's some other skills related to WooCommerce and to WordPress that would be more applicable than, let's say, Shopify. So this is how you're looking at your competition. Now, let's get in and actually look at the details. This is Kevin in Colorado. Hey, Kevin. Okay, what does Kevin have? Now, he's charging a lot. He's charging $120 per hour, okay? He says he's an expert in e-commerce, host code, speed, Linux, etc. He's obviously done well. I mean, he's made some money on the platform, it looks like, but it seems like this title is a little weak, in my opinion. He does have a video, but you know what? His video doesn't have a title card in there. Maybe we should put a title card that, kind of stands out. Notice his picture. That's another way to stand out. So even if you're competing with Kevin here, you can create up a better picture than Kevin. You can create up a better video title. You can create up maybe even a better video. Let's go through what else he has. He has book a consultation. That's good. Maybe we want to have that. Probably should. He looks like he has some good history on the platform. Looking at his portfolio pieces, not bad, but I think you could do better. Maybe you create more of a design that's showing, let's say, a background with a computer and then the website design on that, and maybe a little bit better description. So what I'm trying to get to you is that even if you see someone that has everything on there, there's always going to be a way for you to be different, to stand out, to be something, unique. Look at his skills right here. Technical SEO. Okay, well, I thought he was a WordPress guy. Why isn't WordPress in the very front of it? So even as simple as reordering your skills to be better than your competition is a way for you to stand out. Now let's go over and take a look at the low end, because we don't want to be low end people, right? We're freelancers. We got to pay our bills. And I'm just telling you that if you're in the US or you're trying to sell to US companies, $15 an hour is the minimum. Maybe you'll come down a little bit given where your cost of living is in your home country. But again, we don't want to be the cheapest. And I'll tell you why. Because if I really need someone who is an expert in WordPress, they're going to charge me more than $5 an hour if they live in the US. Okay? It's almost unbelievable that somebody in the US would only charge $5 an hour to do anything with WordPress, especially if they use the word expert in their title. Here's another expert for $10. Really? Why don't you go get a job at like Chick-fil-A or something and you'll make $15 an hour? These lower price people just become almost unbelievable in the fact that I don't know if I can trust them to do the work. Now, this guy, WordPress SEO, keyword research, fine. $10 an hour? Picture is kind of terrible. Hey, thanks for checking out my profile. Again, okay, but I don't care about you. I want you to care about what I need. Even over here, $5.56 an hour. Really? Really? Because $5.57 an hour would, break the bank for someone? I just don't think these are believable. And this is why I like going on the low end, because I want to see what the low end people are doing, and I don't want to be them. You'll notice the low end people don't really have consultations on them. You'll notice the low end people kind of look like they copy and pasted from somebody else. They don't really have good pictures per se. And then, they all seem a little bit generic. And again, at $10 an hour earned, wow, then you've earned like 6 hours on the platform. It just seems off. And to be fair, I'm not trying to discount that these people may be trying to get work and these are legitimate prices. I just don't think that if I'm a freelancer, especially if I'm new to the platform, that I want to be seen as the cheapest solution out there. I probably can't be the most expensive, so somewhere in the middle, and that's where we're going to go to next. Let's go ahead and start sliding this bar up, and let's kind of center around this 40 to 60 area. That kind of looks like where most people are. This is probably where you want to focus the most amount of your time. Those middle people, how are they talking about themselves? Now, this one, WordPress developer who will build you modern and fast websites. Maybe. I like it when you're like a little cheeky in your the title there. So for instance, I build WordPress sites that are blazingly fast, especially if you focus on optimization. I think that's a great title for somebody. In other words, I build WordPress sites that are blazing fast. Great. That will make you stand out. That'll make you unique. So I really I don't think this is bad. And of course, seems like an attractive person. But again, I can't see your face, and that's what I want to see is somebody's face. Again, I'm not sure why $55.56 per hour. I mean, what was the decision around there? Just put a whole number. It doesn't matter. You're not going to charge, that rate always. You're going to increase or decrease it depending on the project. But this guy, WordPress developer, Aveda, a theme specialist, being specific, 10 years of experience. This, I think, is a good solid title right there. Here's what I do. He's not trying to say he's an expert. He's letting his years of experience point out that he is an expert. So this is one of those clever ways to say I'm an expert without saying it. So if I said I've been doing WordPress for 20 years, you would assume that I have some expertise in it. I wouldn't have to say expert WordPress developer, builder, designer. Okay, but I still don't like his thing. So this is what we're looking at. Just, take a look at your competition and say, how can I be better and different or unique or, interesting? And I really think that, there's lots of different ways. So let's see, Anastasia, WordPress developer. Yeah, not bad. Are you Woo? Are you Elementor? I just like to be more focused. But I think if you got some traction on the platform, you can do this. But based on what I'm seeing here, she has no traction. And I think when you're just starting out, you want to be an expert in one thing and really drive into it, build up some reputation with it. Then you can maybe expand it out. Let's make your digital dreams a reality. Imagine a website that captures the essence of your brand. Not bad. I don't know if I need my dreams turned into reality as opposed to I need a website that gets people to buy or gets people to visit back. So this is, again, what we're looking at. Now, I like this. I like how they're doing the portfolio pieces. I'm kind of a big fan of this, by the way, is just making them kind of all look consistent. The only change is I would have a good background right here that's consistent, so I know that each piece is actually her piece. Crypto web design project, not bad. I would include the word WordPress in there because, you're doing WordPress. So not bad on that one. Skills, WooCommerce, WordPress, you've got it. Probably reorder that in. Project catalog, very good. Again, I always like to see images that are consistent. So maybe how you're doing your portfolio, maybe replicate it over your project catalog. They can be a little different, but they should look like they're in the same design family. But overall, not bad for somebody just starting out. I can see her face, right? That's good. So looks like a nice, pleasant person. I just probably would tie this down. So if I'm like her, here's what I would do different, and then you do that. So that's a long-winded way of reviewing your competition out there. It is worth your time to look at what everyone else is doing. And remember, how can I do what they do better? What is the minimum I have to be in? Is my pricing right in the middle of the pack? Do I look like somebody who deserves that middle of the pack pricing? And if so, I think you're going to be in a lot better position when we start building your profile.